Hi, I'm Reggie Turner. I'm here with Jim Miller, and the FlipSide starts right now. Welcome to the show. Tonight we're joined by Merrill E.J. Fuller, the new Executive Director of the Robert W. Johnson Community Center.
Thank you, sir. Thank you for having me.
North Hagerstown graduate.
Yes, sir.
Frostburg State graduate.
Yes, sir.
Former athlete of football and basketball.
Uh-huh. You got it.
Did I cover it pretty well?
You got it. You got it really well.
So what he's trying to say there is smarter than both of us.
Well, I don't know about both of y'all combined, but
Individually, I got you covered. I like this guy.
Oh,
All right.
and the former development director of the Boys and Girls Club.
yes.
Working on the multi-million-dollar project of their new facility before you came home, per se.
Yeah, it was great being with the Boys and Girls Club for those years. Learned a lot and excited about the project that's coming. Sad that I had to leave out of there and take on a new venture, but I'm excited for the community and what they're going to receive with the new Boys and Girls Club.
But before we jump into that, introduce yourself to our audience. Tell us about, you're native Hagerstonian, so tell us about your upbringing.
Well, I'm a native Hagerstonian, and I grew up right off of Johnson Street on Pennsylvania Avenue for about 9 years of my life. And that's where I was able to go to the community center, and I learned to swim there. So that's what made that place, near and dear to my heart, was the place that I would frequent as a kid. And then I grew up going to the Boys and Girls Club as well, right there on Pennsylvania Avenue, which was right up the street. So I used to come in, throw my bags down, and run right up to the Boys and Girls Club, go knock on my neighbor's door, and then we would run up together. But growing up there was really nice, and then my family moved. We moved out to Bellevue, and Bellevue was an awesome place to live. I actually live there now, but that was an awesome place to live. We played all types of sports, and I love sports, all sports. So
Bellevue, right there near North High.
Yeah, right behind North High. Like, I used to walk through the back area across the tracks there to get to school every day.
Right.
Get my shoes all wet in the dew and stuff. But yeah, so growing up there was just wonderful. We had a bunch of kids in the block, and it was a lot of sports that we played, a lot of just getting into regular kid stuff. Just being kids, and thankful for Miss Martin. I got to give a shout out to Miss Martin because she let us tear her backyard up. We was in her backyard every day. I don't think she had any grass in certain parts because we played basketball on her driveway. So the side of the basketball court was like a little circle out there where we were running around. So
She probably enjoyed every minute of it.
yes, and growing up in that area was awesome experience. And then also being, going to North High and playing ball there and being on the varsities for both sports since I was a sophomore was interesting.
So you play basketball?
Basketball and football, and I ran track. Well, I didn't run track. I jumped in track. Yeah, I did the triple jump for like a half a season.
Okay.
Yeah. Made it to states, but I hurt my foot, so I didn't win. I was actually favored in states. A lot of people don't know that.
Okay.
Yeah.
Interesting.
So, EJ, in regards to kind of your youth and your development, when did you first say, I want to go to college? And when did you know that you was going to get the opportunity to go to college? How did that play out for you?
So originally, I wanted to go to college in probably, I would say, the seventh grade. Seventh grade, I had a wonderful teacher named Mr. Broomback, and he was one of the teachers at Northern Middle, and he was a teacher. So he was, I guess, grooming other teachers. So I actually, at first, I wanted to be a teacher. So that's kind of why I chose Frostburg as well, because Frostburg was a known teaching school.
Yes, it was.
So, and it still is, yeah. So that was one of the reasons why Frostburg was a choice for me, and it was close to home. So I originally wanted to be a teacher. So around the 7th, 8th grade, that was when I was like, I'm going to college. And I didn't even think about the sports aspect at that point. It was just all about academics. So I focused on my academics real strong to hold a good grade point average so I would be able to get to college.
And when did the switch flip and you go, oh, I can go to college. I'm a college athlete. Like I have that opportunity in front of me. When did that light bulb go off?
Well, I guess I could toot my own horn on here, right?
Absolutely.
So around my sophomore year, I broke a national record in football, which was I had 2 punt returns in one game within like a minute or so of time lapsed on a game. So I went across the AP report, and then after that, I just started getting inundated with letters from all kinds of colleges all across the country wanting me to come and play football there. So right then, that's when I knew, once I got my first letter, I think my first letter was from Miami University. And I got that letter and I was like, what's this? Coach just handed it to me. He was like, here you go, here's a letter. And I opened it up and it's saying, you know, we enjoy watching you, we're checking you out, and we want to see if you want to come to the University of Miami. So from there, I was like, all right, I'm going to college. So I just started doing more and more research, saying, okay, I'm going to go to college. I'm going to play football in college.
And this was what year?
90.
No, what year of your school?
Sophomore in high school.
Okay.
And then junior year, much of the same. I probably received a letter from every D1 school in the country. And it just didn't, you know, being that standout athlete and not really having a whole lot of standout athletes come through that were like myself, you know, I don't think the AD and the coaches kind of knew how to handle it. They just handed me the letters and didn't do any follow-up. I'm not trying to throw anybody under the bus or anything.
No, that was just kind of
but it was
how
just
the
kind of
times
how
were.
the times were, and it was just like they expected us to handle them. Like my parents never went to college, neither one, and so I was the first one actually in my family to go to college. So I was able to achieve that as well. And then my son followed suit, and he did 2 years at HCC, but he's in the tech field, so he's like, I don't need college, Dad. I just need certification. So I'm like, but go get the experience, go get that college experience and do this. But he's his own man. I let him do his own thing. So it worked out for me tremendously. You know, getting a college education was the end goal, and I was able to achieve it. So I was very proud of myself and what I was able to do, and make my parents proud of being a college graduate.
Talk to me about your experience at the center back then. You mentioned earlier that they taught you how to swim. What other experiences can you talk about? Can you remember?
Oh man, well, us being kids, for one thing, and we used to go upstairs. One of the things I can remember right off the top of my head is we used to go upstairs in the open area upstairs, and we used to line up chairs. So we lined up like stackable chairs, and we would just line them up behind each other. We would put mats down. Now, I don't know if, you know, I'm telling this story, but
not to be repeated,
right? Not to be repeated, but a lot of people know because they were up there with me. But we used to stack chairs and run and jump and flip over the chairs onto mats. And that was one of the funnest things to do when we were there. It was just like, hey, let's go upstairs and jump. Let's go upstairs and flip. So we were doing flips, and everybody was trying to learn how to do a backflip. And it was kind of like we just learned how to do acrobatics. The swimming was huge for me. After playing ball at the park over there at Wheaton Park, the next thing to do after that was go straight to the pool. So just the pool memories are probably the most memories that I have is being at the pool and going out and learning how to swim and being able to jump off the diving board for the first time there, and yeah, we had good times.
But, you know, one of the things that Reggie and others have talked about with respect to the community center is the ability to give these kids something to do other than join gangs and do bad things, and to give them a purpose and to give them leadership that a leader that will care about them and help them grow. Can you remember any, and I don't need names, but can you remember stories from when you were there of that center changing lives for children that were attending at the same time you were?
Oh yeah, oh yeah. I mean, that was the safe place. It was one of the safe places in town that we could go as kids. Like I said, I would bounce back and forth between the Boys and Girls Club and the center. I spent a lot of time at the center, and one of the biggest influences there was Miss Ruth Ann Monroe. She was there for I think 30 or 40 years that I remember, and she did a wonderful job of keeping us there. When we got there, she was like, you're here now, you can't leave, you got to go through this program. She pushed us into different areas and direction to attend the programs there. And, you know, we watched TV, we played video games. We had a good time, and we stayed off the streets, and we stayed out of trouble. So I think that was a huge influence on a lot of us that came through there.
Excellent.
You're a success story from the community, right? You grew up in a time where you could have become a statistic in regards to all the things that were happening in the community and that were happening to young black men, but you became the first in your family to go to college. And I know there's a pride associated with that. And Jim, a little known fact, even though I'm not from here, as people like to say.
Well, what constitutes from here?
I don't know.
When you're here for so many years, I think you end up being like.
I'm still waiting for my adoption papers to be signed.
You know, I'll sign them.
But there we go. He's committing to sign them. But the little known fact is that I met EJ over 30 years ago when I first came here. You know, I would go to the school and play on Sundays under Miss Ruth Ann Monroe and Mimi, Carlton Davis, at the school. And EJ and I actually were roommates at Frostburg. So we had college experience together.
Yes, sir.
But just kind of looking back at that time, and you know, you're the first to go to college, you get your degree. Tell me about that experience, and tell me what about that experience that you're going to be able to share and relate to that seventh grader that you run into at the community center.
Well, one of the things that I like to share with kids is that college is kind of on your time. It's on your time. It's on your schedule. So you create your own schedule when you go to college. You're not in a class for 7 hours. You're not in a classroom for 7 hours. You might take 2-3 classes a day. Then you got the rest of the day to kind of have, you know,
to manage your time.
To manage
right?
your time.
And oh, by the way,
or not manage your time.
Right. And by the way, if you don't show up for those classes, they don't care.
They don't care.
Nobody's looking for you.
Nobody cares. They don't care whether you, and that's a part of, you know, the growth process of being, you know, starting to adult.
You own it.
Yeah, starting to adult at 18 years old is way more significant in the college realm because you have to say, okay, I'm going to take this time and go to the library. I'm going to take this time and go, you know, I can go hang out and party over here for a little bit, but I got to make sure I do this. And one of the things that helped me a lot was being a part of the football team because we had, you know, you had to stay eligible. You had to go to class. The coaches, the coaches gave you the structure. So they kept you, they checked up on you. It made sure that you went to class. They would ask the professors that, hey, was EJ in class today? And the professors would be like, yes, EJ was in class today. Because I love school. I love learning. I'm a life learner. I'm constantly learning. I don't think I'll ever stop learning. And I think that college experience made that happen for me. It made me want to learn all the time and learn more and more and more. So I'm loving this information age that we're in because I used to have to go to the library all the time, get books, read books. Now I can kind of go to YouTube.
You can do it on your cell phone.
Yeah, I can go to YouTube on my cell phone. I can type a search in and it pops up, you know, here's the audio book. So I don't even have to read anymore. I can just listen to it. But the experience of being a college athlete, you know, I don't think if you haven't gone through that experience, and you don't, not everybody gets a chance to do that.
Right.
Which is, makes it even more
Special, yes,
special for me,
absolutely.
right? Because not everybody gets a chance to go to school and do what they love, and that's, play the sport that they love, and then, be able to graduate with a degree. I mean, before I knew it, 4 years was up like
Yep.
that. And, I was kind of sad to go, but, I even thought about sticking around and maybe coaching and pursuing a master's. And my mother was like, I'm not paying for no more years of college for you. So I was like, well, I'm not paying for it either. So I guess it's time for me to graduate. So
Well,
I got out of there.
that's about it.
That's about it. So, but yeah, I even, I throw it around the house sometimes with my wife and say, I might go back to school and get my master's in psychology because I love psychology. I think that helped me a lot with the kids, being able to speak to the kids on their level and just meet them there where they're at. And the psychology part of it, I love it. I love being able to, I love when that little bad kid comes in. We don't call them bad anymore, but they come in and then we make them turn that 180 and they leave out of there and they're a totally different kid. And the parents come to me and say, what have you done to my child? Like, I love that story. I love hearing that.
Yeah, for
Yeah.
sure.
Yeah. Well, E, there's a lot more we want to talk to you about. We want to jump into kind of your vision for the center, talk a little bit more about your experiences, but so stay with us. Stay with us. We'll have more with E.J. Fuller after the break. Welcome back to the show. We're still joined by the new executive director of the Robert W. Johnson Community Center. EJ, thank you for staying with us. So EJ, you took over the mantle in January. You made the leap after 9 years of comfort at the Boys and Girls Club, and you said, I'm coming home and I'm coming to do a task. Talk a little bit about your thought process in making that decision and tell us a little bit about your vision.
So when I first started thinking about the center, it was probably about 2 years ago. And I just saw the center, what it was going through, that the pool was closed, and that, it was just some turmoil around the center. And, being at the Boys and Girls Club, we were on our own. I was on our own mission at the time, raising, money for the new building. So I was kind of preoccupied, but I always keep, as a resource development person, I always keep my eyes and ears open to what's going on around the town and the county. So, the center, with it being a place that is near and dear to my heart, it made it to where it was kind of pulling on my heartstrings.
Yeah.
It was pulling on my heartstrings. I went to a fundraiser for the center that was, I guess in about 2017, 16, 17, went to a fundraiser and, gave to the center. And then there was some, ex-board members that were in there, and I spoke with them. And, they were just talking about the turmoil that was going on and things that wasn't right. And I was just giving them some advice from my end of how I deal with my board, or how I deal with, the staffing there and at the club. And it just was pulling on my heart.
Yeah.
Funny thing is, when I went to apply, the first time I was going to apply, and I kind of held off.
Yeah.
I kind of held off, and I was just like, it's not time yet. It's not time. Maybe it's not. Then there was a hire. The center hired someone. So I was like, okay, well, that wasn't for me.
Right.
And then, a couple months later, seen it was back open, the position was open, and I spoke with my wife, and I said, I think it might be for me. I said, that might be. I said, I've been feeling it calling me. I've been feeling it pulling on me. It was, leaving the Boys and Girls Club was a real tough decision. But I was comfortable there. Like you said, I was very comfortable, and I was getting to the point where I was looking for the next challenge.
Right.
And the center was the perfect place to go. Like you said, I was back home. I was like, I'm coming back home, to do what I need to do and what the community needs me to do to make sure that that center's thriving. And so now I'm there on a mission. So it's a God-given mission in my eyes.
Amen.
God brought me there to make sure that I can provide for the community and take care of the community like it needs to be.
Yeah, so I want to explore what your responsibilities were at the Boys and Girls Club. But before I do that, it occurs to me that this is a fairly significant personal risk for you to take. You're walking away from a very well-established organization into an organization that, granted, has the capital funds to do what they need to make a first-class facility, right?
Yes,
and
wonderful facility.
So thankful for our state people and others. I guess specifically the state has been the big contributors.
They have both governors.
Right.
Right.
But I mean, it's a pretty significant risk for you. Traditionally, and I have looked at the tax filings for that organization for a number of years, and they didn't have a lot of cash to play with. So your role as a development director is probably going to be significant as you take on this role, and you probably can't afford to hire all of those positions individually at this point. Talk to me about what's important and what your priorities are as you go into this.
So yes, it was a risk, but I'm of the no risk, no reward.
Yeah.
So I'm of that cloth. So I'm always up for the challenge and to prove, not to myself, but to prove that the center is worthy of better. It's worthy of having a person like myself, a nonprofit professional, step into the reins and be able to take it to the next level where it should be. And I think that that's what I bring to that center, is the professionalism that hasn't been there. From what I've gathered, I'm the first actual nonprofit professional that's been in the executive director position. Everyone else hasn't had the experience that I've had. The resource development experience is basically me being me and being able to network and be a likable person. And I love people. So just being around people and loving on people is kind of how I genuinely live my life. So it's easy for me to kind of develop the relationships in order for people to say, hey, I want to give money over there to what EJ's doing because he's passionate about what he does. And a lot of people in the community support me because they know that my passion is there and I'm a man of my word. So what I say I'm going to do, and I'm trustworthy. So when you have that package there, why not take that from the Boys and Girls Club and take it over to the center where we can build it the same way we built the club. The club wasn't always in the position that it is today. When I first started there, it wasn't in a great position financially. I mean, it was in a decent position financially, but it wasn't where it is today. And I'm proud of myself on helping it to be where it's at. So leaving there was a tough decision, but it was kind of easy for me to say, I'm ready for this next challenge. The club's good. They're going to be okay. But I need to go over here where the center's at and do the work there.
Yeah, and I know the club has done reasonably well throughout the years, the Boys and Girls Club. But I also remember in Kiwanis going over there to meet Jim Diener, and he was crawling off the roof from repairing the roof personally.
Yes.
The executive director. So
he liked doing those type of things.
He did. He was a great guy.
He hired me. He was there when I used to go to the Boys and Girls Club as a kid. He was the director. So, he was there for about 40 years, and he actually hired me on at the Boys and Girls Club. And it was kind of the same thing it was for the center. It was welcome home. Yeah. Like I spent about the same amount of time at both places.
Yeah.
And so probably a little bit more time at the club, or no, I would say at the center, because I spent a lot of days there swimming and playing ball, swimming and playing, going back and forth in the summertime. And where after school, it was kind of going to the club after school. But when that summer hit, the club wasn't open during the summer.
Right.
So it was a lot of going to the center at that point and going up to North Street to play ball.
So while we're on that subject, let's talk about, again, you've got this wonderful, I won't call it a brand new facility, but there's a lot going on there. And it's going to be, you know, people that haven't been there are going to walk in and probably say, wow, right?
Yeah.
Well, let me toot EJ's horn as you tell that story, because he hit the ground running. He came right in. He's talking to architects. He's talking to contractors. He's talking to the pool construction folks. Like, he jumped right in. And I think the beauty of it is that he's been involved in so many different aspects of the Boys and Girls Club. It was kind of like natural for him to jump in and kind of pick up the ball.
Well, and that,
and
you know,
move it forward.
clearly, there's no doubt in my mind that the experience of the Boys and Girls Club with this construction project they have going on puts you in a perfect position to be able to go in and talk the talk and walk the walk, so to speak.
Yeah. Now I wish I would have paid attention a little bit more, though. Just a little bit more. I mean, I was in some of the meetings. I was just kind of, you know, just waiting for it to be over. But
well, the reality is every construction project is different.
Yeah.
And it's especially different if you're looking at a rehab versus new
Yes.
construction. So I'm sure that regardless of when you may have dozed off in some of those
some of those meetings are brutal.
You're still going to have the challenges.
But we had a good time. I had a good time learning. I'm still, like I said, I'm a life learner, so it was interesting to learn new things.
Talk to me about the development piece. Talk to me about how possibly you can get those operating funds that are going to be so desperately needed as you look to increase the staff and to serve more of that community.
Well, I think, you know, a lot of nonprofits, especially you know, smaller nonprofits, they think of, you know, the grants as like this is the end all be all. We have to write a grant for this. We have to write a grant for that. The way I kind of work the relationship is we try to have, you know, 20% is our grants and 80% is individuals and corporate. I call them corporate donors, with their business owners that are local. There's some national things and you can get, but the local relationships with the individuals that, you know, that are your donors, your constituents, to say, those relationships are crucial, because when you have a great relationship here and they go around and they talk about you, they become advocates for you. So that understanding of having a good relationship with this company, and then they go in the same circles. So when they start talking about their giving, they're like, oh, well, I give, you know, EJ, I give to him. You don't know EJ? Well, let me introduce you to him. So the next chamber mixer I go to, plug for the chamber. The next chamber mixer I go to, now the same business owner is introducing me to another person who may be able to support. So I think the relationship building in the community is big, because that's how development people work. You can't just sit at your desk, you know, make phone calls and people don't see you. I like to say out of sight, out of mind. Yeah. So when I'm around people and I'm amongst people and I'm talking with them, you know, they get to know me, they get to know my heart, they get to feel my passion. And I think, you know, what I've learned over the years is that people give to the organization through you as an individual. They're not necessarily always given to the whatever program they're going to give it to. It's just whatever the greatest need is, and they give through you. So that's kind of like,
well, and they give through you because they know it'll go to the right efforts,
right.
And that you will be good stewards, a good
Exactly.
steward of their funds.
Yeah.
The reality is we have so many nonprofits in every community, and Washington County is no different. So the pie, every
It's
time a
only
new
so
nonprofit
big, yes.
is only so big. So I think, and I'm not an expert on fundraising. In fact, that's the one thing I hate to do. I've done it in the past, begrudgingly, but
It's one of my favorites. It's my
Okay.
favorite thing to do.
Well, I think you're on the right track. I think there is, you know, I get calls all the time. I get emails all the time. I get Facebooks, Now the birthday things on Facebook. This year, Susie Smith wants you to support XYZ company
Yeah.
or XYZ organization for her
Yes.
birthday.
Yes.
And sometimes I'll do that, and sometimes I won't. But I think the personal relationship, especially in the environment we're in now, is extraordinarily important.
Yeah.
And I think, in my mind, that's a great way to pursue that.
Yeah. Because friends don't tend to tell friends no. So when you have a relationship, that's just the psychology part of it. If I'm your friend and I'm in need,
Right.
and I say, hey, I need $25, and you have $25 in your pocket, you're going to be like, here you go, friend, take this 25. Don't tell me what you need it for, but just take it and do because I know you're going to do right by it. So that's kind of the way I see it. I develop the relationships in order to make the tough asks. And I tend to, I think I sell myself short sometimes. I don't think I ask for enough a lot of times. I just ask for what's needed.
That's a fine line.
Yeah.
That's a fine line, because I've seen that go the other way too, where people ask for the moon, and then all of a sudden the donor or the prospective donor just says, "No, I'm
Yeah.
not giving you anything,"
Right.
because you asked for too much. So that's a fine line.
Yeah. So what I've learned over the years is just ask what to ask for.
Yeah.
It's a lot of questions that you have to ask in development. I'm usually on the other side of the interview. Is kind of how it is. I'm asking the questions. I'm asking like who do you give to? Who do you give to? Now I'm giving an education to the fundraisers
the
out
development
here.
community,
But
right.
I'm asking like who do you give to now? And most people they don't hide it. They'll say, oh, well, I give to this person. I give to this organization. I give to this organization, and I give to you guys. And I'm like, well, how much do you give to them? And they'll tell me I give 5,000 here, 2,000 there, and you give us 3,000. I'm like, well, how can we make that 3,000, 5,000 for the Boys and Girls Club? And then the wheels start turning, and then they might do a 4,000.
Yeah.
It might go from 3 to 4. But it's a fun game for me. The fundraising part of it, it's fun. Because at the end of the day, I know, that I'm doing something that's going to create, great futures for the kids and, a great community at the end. Yeah. So for me, it's just fulfilling.
Yeah.
To be that development person. It's not easy. It's not easy to ask people for money. I know most people can't do it. Like you said, it's not your favorite thing to do, Jim. And I get it. It wasn't my favorite thing to do at first. Like I just jumped into the role because it was there, and I was like, I can do that. But I feel like I can do anything. I'm just one of those people. Like, I can do that too.
Prove me wrong.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. So E, in all the years we've known each other, I'm still learning today, right? So you said something that grabbed me. You learned how to swim at the center.
Yes.
And in just months from now, you're going to be able to host a ribbon cutting for the pool being returned back to the kids.
Yeah.
How you feel about that?
I feel super excited about it. I'm so excited about it because, for it not being open for as long as it is, I know, like I said, I keep my eyes and my ears open.
Yeah.
And I listen. And the community rumblings is the
Where's
pool.
our pool?
Where's
our pool?
Where's
Yeah.
the pool? The pool's not open. The pool's not open. So to be able to be in a position to be able to open that pool this summer is so exciting. It's exciting for me, but I think it's more exciting for the community
Yes.
members so that they'll be able to see that their pool is back and they'll be able to enjoy it. And I can't wait for it. I want to have a big block party, invite a whole bunch of people out, have a ribbon cutting, and every day I go out there and I see, progress. I see,
Right.
New stuff getting put in. The other day I was there and they were checking on the lights on the outside of the pool, and they were like, oh, just one of these lights are out. All the rest of them are working. And I'm like, wonderful. So we only got to really fix one? They were like, yes. So I was like, okay. It was just going out there every day and talking to the pool guys, and seeing where their progress is, and them telling me, yes, we're going to be ready. We're going to be ready for the summer. We're waiting on a couple days that's warm now to
Pour the concrete.
start pouring the concrete. So that's the next step, and
It's gonna
then
really
we'll know
come
we're
alive
closer. Yes.
once they pour the concrete.
Yeah, because right now it's just a bunch of rebarb
Yeah.
and just gravel. So you step out there and you'll step on rebarb and gravel. So
Yeah.
once they're able to pour it and we have a deck there, then it's like, okay, it's happening. It's happening. So
I
and
think
we're renovating the locker rooms as well at the
Yes.
same time.
Oh, I
Yes.
didn't know that.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's the first phase of the full renovation is the locker room. So we're doing that as well. I just did a pre-bid walkthrough with some contractors, with some GCs for them to put their bid in to do the locker rooms. So I just did that this week.
Yeah. The exciting thing about this project is, like, it's been steps, right? It was securing funding to kind of get the pool project going. It was having Judge David Young coming home and taking the mantle as the president. And he was the one, when he came in, with the experience of boards of, like, we have to have a nonprofit professional. And we were able to put together a budget because it's a coup for the community to be able to hire someone with EJ's experience. And it's not just the experience; it's the fact that he knows the community and he's going to fight for it because he's
part of the community.
He's a part of it, and he was a beneficiary of that.
Yes.
So all of that was a huge coup, and, like, to have that, Governor Moore has been out to see this pool and been in the community center. To have Secretary Jake Day of the Department of Housing and Community Development on site to see this pool, this development. So we have these advocates around the state that are cheering for the center, that have put in resources, and then you cap it with bringing in a development professional to come in to execute the vision, and it's like we're getting close to kind of that first breakthrough happening because when you announce money's coming in, it doesn't impact really anyone. There's an initial excitement, but the community still doesn't get to use the resource. Now we're at a point where the community is going to get their resource back.
Right.
But also, with every opportunity comes challenges, right? Because there's going to be a new expense because you're going to be operating the pool, right? So that's going to require more operational funding and your development skills, right, to bring in those.
Right.
Lifeguards, those type of things. Tell me how you're looking to tackle those challenges.
So I'm all about collaboration. I think collaborations are big in the nonprofit world. Not a lot of people take advantage of what we have out here as far as the resources that are available to us in the community. One of the resources that I'll be taking advantage of is the Western Maryland Consortium. Western Maryland Consortium provides kids jobs for the summer. So they'll be working in the summer camps with us. And I'm working really, really tough with Maria at the YMCA in collaboration with her to try to get the lifeguards set up, because she does the pools. Maria at the YMCA, they do the pools for all the county pools.
Right.
So, just getting that experience from her. I tend to go to the professionals on things I don't know. I go to the people that do know and get the understanding and use them as resources. So that's one of the things I'm looking at. I'm looking at partnering with Goodwill. They have a team program to try to get some of those teens trained that can swim really well and get them trained as lifeguards. But that's going to be one of the toughest challenges, I think, coming up for us is actually, having the staff at the pool, having a pool manager, and having lifeguards that are dedicated to be in there every single day and working, to serve the community. So I think that's one of the biggest challenges going into, into this summer and trying to open the pool is trying to get lifeguards. So anybody that has lifeguard experience and will want to come in and be a pool manager or lifeguard, we're wide open to whoever might want to come in and be a part of the center.
Well, we know that the youth labor market is stressed at this point. You see restaurants and other people struggling to hire enough of these young people to do these part-time jobs. So that is going to be a challenge probably on many levels.
Oh yeah, it's a huge challenge, and I'm not looking forward to it, but it is what it is. Like, we want to get that pool open, so we have to make it happen. And when I was at the club, that's what they called me. They called me the Make It Happen Captain. So that's what I'm going to do. That's what I love to do. I love to make it happen. And at the end of the day, I'm like, call me the Make It Happen Captain, because we made it happen. So, I first started in there was Mr. Fix It, because I was going around fixing everything. And then after going into development, it was Make It Happen Captain, and then it became the Rain Man, because I was making it rain with all the money that we were bringing in. So, but I like to toot my own horn, but I like to, also I'm kind of humble in that way. Like I let other people like yourself, Reggie, to toot my horn and say wonderful things about me.
That's the athlete in him.
Yeah, I'm like, even as an athlete, I broke records and all types of stuff, but I never was self-centered. I always thanked my linemen. I always wanted them in the pictures or wanted them around me, and I always thanked the linemen and the wide receivers who blocked for me, because I understand the team dynamic, and I use that and I translate that into what I do as in my profession. I'm always taking the team aspect, and me being the star running back and the star point guard, I was always had to have my team. I wouldn't be the assist leader at North High if it wasn't for the people I passed it to making the shots that I gave it to them. They had to finish the shots. So it was kind of, when I do reflection, which I do a lot, those are the things that I see, and being humble and understanding what's around you and how you got to a place that it wasn't just you doing everything to make things happen. It gives you a different perspective on, the people that's around you and how you feel about them and how you love on them and appreciate them. So I'm very appreciative of, the board for bringing me into the Robert W. Johnson Center, because they could have easily, brought in some other people that was just as qualified as I was. So I'm happy to be able to be in the position I am as the executive director there.
Yeah. We should take a break, come back, and wrap this thing up.
We shall. The funny thing, I'll close this segment out with this. Some are saying that EJ coming home is akin to LeBron James going back to Cleveland. But we won't go quite that far with you coming home. But it is pretty significant, though. It is pretty significant.
That's funny, because that was one of the things I thought of. That was one of the things I thought of. I was like, oh, man. But I was thinking the totally opposite way. I was thinking of going to Miami. Like, you know what I mean? I was thinking going to Miami and win a championship. Then I'm going to go over here and win a championship. But
That's it. I got you. All right, stay with us. We'll have more with EJ Fuller after the break. Welcome back to the show. EJ, thank you for staying with us. We've talked a lot about your background, your vision, your experience, your childhood, what you would like to do for kids. But I believe sometimes it's lost on our community that the Robert W. Johnson is to serve the whole family. And in this interim phase, one of the ways that we serve families is the food distribution. But talk about the food distribution and talk about other ways as you bring programming back as we get through the renovation that you want to be able to serve the whole family.
So one of the things that we do now is we do the food drop. It's called a Pantry on the Go. It's through the food bank. It's a program through the Maryland Food Bank. It's a wonderful program because we're giving fresh fruits and fresh vegetables out to the community. I'm a pescatarian/vegetarian, so that definitely warms my heart up when I see people being able to get, the fresh fruits and vegetables to eat healthier. And being a part of, Healthy Washington County, that collaboration also, giving out the food is real big for us. What I like about that food drop is that we do get to see a lot of the community members that are in need that come by regularly. Every month. It's some of the same individuals from what I've seen over the last 2 months. It's a lot of the same individuals. So I think we're kind of missing an opportunity to engage with them a little bit more. So I'll probably change some things up with the food drop and kind of have it like a more of an open free market type of deal so that we can bring more resources out to help the families along. Because if they're in need and they're coming there saying that they need food, I'm sure they're going to be in need of a whole lot of other resources as well. So I think if the community center has the resources available, when we have the captive audience, I think that's a big deal to be able to serve the community a little bit more,
Yeah.
and be able to deal with the families more than just the kids in that aspect. I think the health services, we have Meritus that comes out, the health department. Meritus comes out, checks your blood pressure, does some vital checks and things like that, gives vaccines. So those programs are huge for us in the community. I mean, you never know whose blood pressure might be too high. I think at one point they said they checked somebody's blood pressure and then they had to go immediately to the hospital.
And I've seen that during the food distribution.
Yes,
as well.
because they were at risk
Yeah.
at that moment of having a heart attack. And they could probably could have left there and not been checked and had a heart attack and passed or ended up in the hospital for a long time. You just never know. But we could have saved someone's life just by having the food distribution happen. So I see the importance of that. And I love it every single month to be able to go out and have volunteers from the community come out and work with us. So the food drop is awesome. One of the other things that I love to do and what I want to happen at the center is financial literacy.
Yep.
So financial literacy, I think, it goes along with trying to uplift the community. If you're uplifting the community, people think, oh, if I don't have enough money, I can't do these things. Or so to teach them how to budget, to teach people, you don't have to be making, $1 million a month in order to afford some of the things that you can afford. As long as you cut back on this thing and you have your budget, you can start saving money. You can start, getting life insurance policies. You can do things that, a lot of people don't think about because they're not financially literate. So just to have that financial literacy piece in there is kind of one of my pet projects that I want to bring there to the center, and I'm working on that now. I'm actually talking with a couple folks that want to volunteer to come out and do a couple sessions. So we'll do a couple sessions right before we go into the renovation because I want to see what they bring to the table. Then another project of mine is workforce development. So, if you're you got to make the money to be able to spend the money. So that part as well. So the workforce development, working with the Western Consortium again, and doing some things with the Department of Labor to partner with those two entities to bring some resources to the center as well for workforce development so that we can try to get people into positions, into jobs that they can stay in and retire from, and learn and use the financial literacy that we teach them, as well. So those two are like my real, pet projects that I have that I'm working on right now. And then another project that I'm working on for the families is in between workforce development and financial literacy, there's got to be a health component. So the healthy Washington County, as far as the food bank, that's kind of a part of it, but the actual health part of it, of exercising, taking care of yourself, and so you can live a long life. Like I'm all about that as well. So those three things are kind of what's in the hopper right now, and once we get through with the renovations, I think I'll have a good foundation that we can kind of step right in and have those programs running full strength. We're doing a broadband. We got a broadband grant, so we're doing some classes now. I'm setting it up to where we're doing like 101 computer 101 classes where we just show you how to hook your computer up. Come in, we show you how to where things get plugged into, what's a USB, what's those things not everybody knows. It's commonplace for me because I love computers.
You deal with it.
I
Yeah,
love
you live
computers,
it,
and I
right.
deal with them on a daily basis. I used to build a computer. I owned a music studio at one point. So I built my own computer for the music studio. So I'm very familiar. That's why my son's in IT now, because he used to watch me. And I never knew how much he watched me or paid attention, but he loved the computers and he's doing real well in IT. So, I think, to set that example, at the center for people to follow is I'm there to help, to be their mentor, to pull them through. It's a personal vendetta. This is not all, it's just all business. Even though I'm bringing the business to the organization and making it business-like, it's more of a personal thing for me that to give back to that community so that I can see the community thrive. I'll take one hand at a time if that's what it takes.
Yeah.
Wow.
Jim, any final words?
What are the challenges of all of the things that you see on the horizon? What do you think is going to be the most challenging to navigate?
I believe that where we're at now is probably the biggest challenge, is kind of getting the organization to where it's organized and kind of ready to receive what I bring to it. The resource development, and the programs, you can't really, it's hard to fundraise for unless you have programs that are in place. So once we get the programs going, then we can kind of jump into the fundraising part of it. So that's kind of a challenge for me because I was a busy bee in that fundraising arena. So I had to kind of slow down and take a step back and say, okay, let's get this building, let's do this, let's get this pool together, let's get the building. So I'm more on the administrative side versus going out and doing, the fundraising part of it that I love to do, the relationship building. I'm still having meetings, I'm still talking to people, I'm still telling them about the needs of the center, and asking them to meet the needs. But once we got the programs in the place, I think that's probably the biggest challenge is getting the programs into place and getting the staff to staff it. The minimum wage keeps going up. As the minimum wage goes up, the kids, they kind of demand more and there's competition. So you got, for instance, Girls Inc. and Boys and Girls Club, they kind of do similar things. And if they're paying $1 more, if they're paying 18 versus the center's paying 17, they'll go to the Boys and Girls Club and that's the same thing with the pools. If they'll go to the center and we'll say, all right, well, it's minimum wage, we're paying you 15, and then they can go out to Potterfield, and Potterfield says, well, we'll pay you 18. They want to go to Potterfield because they're making more. So I see that as a challenge. That's probably one of the main challenges of the pool that I've been hearing about, because I'm not very familiar yet, but I'm getting familiar with the pool and how everything runs. But Maria's definitely a great resource for me at the YMCA, and I got her cell phone number. I can reach out to her whenever, and we talk about things. So
it sounds like you've already started forging a lot of partnerships. You talked about the YMCA, you talked about Goodwill, you talked about the Western Maryland Consortium, you talked about a number of different organizations.
Oh yeah, the
That makes a lot of
partnerships
sense.
the partnerships are the best way to kind of spread it out, I guess. As I spread out the pain or spread it all out to where, you got the resources that you can, just pick up the phone and call. You have relationships where you can just pick up the phone and call and say, hey, I need this. Can you help me? And it's always reciprocal. Like they can call me, and if they need something, I'm going to be there for them as well. It's not always take.
No.
That's not a good relationship.
No, it's
A
not.
good relationship, you give and take. So,
And that's the beauty of the pool coming online, right?
Yes.
Because of some of the organizations you're speaking of, we have a resource that they don't have.
right.
Right. So, that's some of the reciprocation that can happen where we can share our facility with others. Obviously you hit the ground running. You had a vision. But
Yeah.
this is home for you. This is a home game for
Yes,
you.
yeah.
Right.
And my vision, it's going to change. Right now, like I said, I have pet projects right now. I don't really see a full vision 100% yet. I'm working on that vision. But, just being there for the first 2 months, I'm kind of, I got my feet wet now. And now the vision's getting clearer and clearer every day of what we need to do and what needs to happen in order to make that center thriving.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Reggie, take us out.
All right. EJ, thank you for joining us. We'll have to have you back. We got stuff going on.
Oh, yeah.
And ribbon cutting for the pool. Great things going on.
Next time I wear a tie, too.
Come on. Yeah, Terrence will be with you, sitting next to you next time.
So I gotta be,
yeah,
I gotta be dressed
you
right.
might want to wear a tie next time, Terrence. But thank you for joining us, EJ, and thank you for your commitment to community. Well, that is all the time that we have for tonight. We hope that you'll like us on Facebook, follow us on X, and send us all your comments to feedback@theflipsidetv.com. That is feedback@theflipsidetv.com. But most importantly, join us again next week for another episode of The Flip Side.